Welcome to this episode of YouTube. We want to wish you a happy new year from the Ambassador Wolves here at the International Wolf Center. This is a great photograph that came from our webcam posted by someone on explore.org site. We just want to share a year in review. And back in January 2021, we had quite the warm weather, and that creates this scenario where this really frosty condition. The boys were alone. Denali and Grizzer were pack mates. So in February 2021, you don't see a lot of snow in this picture. As a matter of fact, by the end of February, a fair amount of snow had left. So it was quite a warm winter in 2021. We're not quite working that out this year. We've got a lot of snow coming in this year. But you see really the dynamics of Grizzer and Denali. And if you look in comparison between last February and what's coming up in the next couple of months, Grizzer has really declined quite a bit in mobility. In the exhibit pack in March 2021, still the heightened kind of seasonal hormones were going on, where you see a chin rest Axel dominating Grayson, and that was typically the pattern in the winter of 2020, 2021, with Grayson being a little bit more intimidated by Axel. But by April, typically that's when the prolactin hormone starts to replace some of that more winter dominant testosterone hormone, and see a pretty social group of boys. They are brothers. They get along pretty well. What's interesting about this clip is later on we're going to see Rika involved as well. May was a great time for us, celebrating Grizzer's 17th birthday with his favorite, which was pork sausage that he gets on his birthday, and once in a while he gets a pork treat. You can see he's got a pretty thick hair here. Grizzer, again, having the thickest of all the wolves as far as a winter coat. And then obviously our June changed the world dramatically with the arrival of Rika on site. She spent a little bit of time down at the Wildlife Science Center training Abby Keller into some of the handling techniques necessary to bottle feed a neonate and get her to the point where she's part of the pack. But because of neonates on site, we do vaccinate our wolves. We usually vaccinate in May, but Grizzer's hair was so thick that we had to wait until a July vaccine. So again, we wanted to make sure that she was protected. As a 17-year-old, obviously his immune system is important to keep it strong and healthy, so we do vaccinate. And so this is just showing you what a vaccination looks like with socialized wolves, having that trust that we work on from the time that they're very young so that we can manage them when they're older. And certainly Rika did bring a lot of life to the exhibit. The public had an opportunity to come out the back door and watch Rika grow and watch her just be a pup. Again, as a singleton, meaning she was the only pup that we acquired for 2021. She definitely had some challenges. We didn't have the social network that normally pups have, roughhousing, chasing, etc. So I was happened to be dog sitting for a dog named Max, who's a border collie who kind of came in and tried to help Rika out with some social behavior. But unfortunately, Max was a little bit too submissive around Rika. He didn't really teach her that big canids will sometimes dominate you, will sometimes growl at you, will sometimes be not so nice to you. And so his submitting to Rika and Rika submitting to him meant that she had a little bit of challenges when she came in with the adult wolves. It was a little bit of a different story seeing an adult wolf that didn't submit to her, and saw a lot of intimidation and a lot of alone time. Also, during the summer of 2021, and especially in August, some significant wildfires, a lot of wind conditions. Air quality was very, very poor. Wind can make wolves nervous, and that created a lot of extra anxiety for Rika during that week of the introduction. But things got better. They got better because Grayson was willing to allow Rika to be a pup. He was comforting to her. He was certainly taking the lead on engaging her in social behavior, and watching her, and guarding her, and bringing her food, allowing her to have food resources. And that really was all the difference for Rika, was having that one individual to take the lead on showing her how to be a pup and how to be a social pack member. So it took us a long time. There was a lot of anxiety here with the wolf care staff on how Rika was getting along. We did multiple sessions. We had wolf care staff in the mornings. We had wolf care staff in the afternoon shift till dark, making sure that we met her needs. And then in September, we had some bad news. We lost Denali to a ruptured mass. Turns out that he had cancer in his body that we did not notice. And not only did we have the challenge of losing Denali, but we had the challenge of how was Grizzer going to manage without Denali. Grizzer relied on Denali to be able to figure out paths, and certainly interacting at the fence with the exhibit helped him, but we know that there were challenges there. And then we also saw Rika really start to develop and remind us that she is a one generation away from the wild wolf, with a lot of raven kills and a little bit of predatory behavior that was starting to get a little bit challenging for us, because being, a wolf that's got such close lineage to the wild, she is likely to have a stronger predatory drive, and that was showing itself in tail grabs, especially with Grayson. So wolf care staff had to work extra hard. Grayson and Axel started to show her some limitations, started to show her some boundaries. And then by the time we got our first snow on November 1st, Rika is in full winter coat. She's starting to understand how to engage socially and be a part of the pack. So this was kind of a cool picture. A year ago, it was Axel looking out the den at Grayson. Now it was Rika looking out the den at Axel. So we are working with her also to get used to dogs in the yard. We had Max, and I was only babysitting Max. So this is Moose. So this is Abby Keller, our wolf specialist dog, a young pup who is just fabulous from the standpoint of being calm, being confident, not being very vocal, meaning not a lot of barking that causes anxiety, but certainly palling up with Rika through the fence there. And just as a reminder, Axel and Grayson, they're tolerant to dogs because they were raised with my dog Tina, who passed away in May 2020. Tina was one of the first dogs that Axel and Grayson met, and it really helps to have a dog adjacent to the yard, because dogs are domesticated. They're tolerant to the human component in an exhibit, and oftentimes can be a great distraction when things get a little bit intense. So now we fast forward to just this week. Again, more snow. It seems like snow and snow and snow. It's building. We're over a foot right now here in December. The wolf care staff are constantly cleaning roofs to make sure they don't slide on Grizzer. They're shoveling and having a lot of snowblower noise. Ice is building up on the paws. We are watching Grizzer. We're seeing the first indication that he's having some sensory loss of where his back feet are landing. And so we're bringing Grizzer into the building, mornings for breakfast, afternoons for a calorie boosting snack later in the day. That gives an opportunity for him to come in, warm up, melt some of that snow off his face, melt some of that snow off his feet, leave those ice chunks in the building, and hopefully help him maneuver a little bit. Now, he isn't locked in the building at night. There's a couple of things that can be challenging with Grizzer. He's got so much hair. Having him in a warm environment and then sending him out in the cold environment, can be problematic. And so we, always want to make sure that we time it, that it's appropriate for him to get his food. There's enough time to melt off the ice conditions that he might have. But the reality is he's not going to get locked in this building. First of all, wolves are classic fight or flight. And even Grizzer at this age, if you lock him in something, he gets anxious, he gets nervous, he gets pawing and pacing and wanting to get out. They want freedom. They want the ability to leave on their terms. So it's very important for Grizzer to have that freedom. We do share with, our kind of updates about the pack on monthly webinars. We've got a subscription rate going right now for a reduced cost for a webinar subscription. If you want to check out our website and see more information, you can learn the details of what's going on with Grizzer and how he's being managed as he ages, as well as the life in the exhibit pack. So thanks again for supporting us over the past year. We hope to see you in 2022. Have a great new year.